The Galactic Academy's lecture hall fell silent as Professor Velthar's crystalline appendages clicked against the holographic display. 23 species sat in tiered rows, their various forms of attention fixed on the lesson about planetary classification systems. In the back row, Marcus Chen sat hunched over his datapad, his comparatively small human frame dwarfed by the towering Kryn beside him. "And this," Professor Velthar announced, his voice resonating through translation implants, "is what we classify as a Class 12 Deathworld. Gravity 3 times standard, atmospheric toxicity levels that would dissolve most carbon-based life, and predators that—" "That's actually pretty mild," Marcus muttered, not quite under his breath. The professor's primary eye stalk swiveled toward him. "Excuse me, Cadet Chen?" 22 pairs of alien eyes and various other sensory organs turned to stare at the human. Marcus felt his face flush, a physiological response that still confused his classmates even after 3 months at the academy. "I just meant," Marcus said, straightening in his seat, "that Earth's classified as a Class 13 Deathworld, sir. So comparatively—" A ripple of shocked chittering and whistling swept through the classroom. Cirith, the serpentine Velen in the front row, raised one of her 4 arms. "Surely that's an error in the database, yes? Humans seem so fragile." Professor Velthar's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Actually, Cadet Cirith, the classification is correct. Perhaps, Cadet Chen, you could enlighten the class. What makes Earth worthy of such a severe classification?" Marcus hesitated. He'd learned quickly that his casual mentions of home often provoked extreme reactions from his classmates. But the professor was waiting, and backing down wasn't in his nature. "Well," he began, "let's start with the basics. Earth's gravity is about 1.3 times what most of you consider standard. Our atmospheric oxygen content is so high that it's technically a fire hazard. Most of our planet's surface is covered in a corrosive solvent we call water, which, yes, we're mostly made of." The Kryn beside him, a being that resembled a boulder with tentacles, made a sound like grinding rocks. "Water? The oxidizing compound? You're joking." "I wish," Marcus said with a slight smile, "but it gets better. Our planet's weather includes electrical storms that can generate billions of volts, winds that can level structures, and frozen water that falls from the sky with enough force to cause injuries." "Frozen water from the sky?" squeaked Pip, the diminutive Quen whose species hailed from a climate-controlled moon. "How do you survive?" "We wear coats," Marcus said simply. "Sometimes hats." Professor Velthar's appendages clicked rapidly, his species equivalent of laughter. "Continue, please." "I believe your classmates are finding this educational." Marcus warmed to the subject. "Our planet wobbles on its axis, causing massive seasonal temperature swings. In some regions, the temperature variation between summer and winter is over 60 degrees Celsius. We have tectonic plates that shift and grind, causing earthquakes that can destroy entire cities. We have volcanoes that erupt, spewing molten rock. We have—" "Stop!" Cirith's scales had paled to a sickly white. "How does your species survive long enough to develop spaceflight?" "Adaptation," Marcus shrugged. "And stubbornness, mostly. But I haven't even gotten to the best part, our wildlife." A collective groan emanated from the class, translated into various frequencies and tones by their implants. "Earth's evolutionary pressure created some remarkable predators," Marcus continued, unable to suppress his grin. "We have aquatic predators with hundreds of serrated teeth that can detect electromagnetic fields. We have land predators that can run at speeds exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. We have primates with strength 5 times that of a human, despite being nearly the same size." "And you share your planet with these creatures?" Professor Velthar asked, genuinely curious now. "We do. In fact, humans used to hunt some of them for sport. Still do in some places. We also domesticated some of the smaller predators. I have 3 cats at home, descendants of ambush predators with retractable claws and incredible reflexes." "You keep predators as pets?" Pip's voice had risen to a frequency barely detectable by human hearing. "Sure, they're cute. Soft fur, big eyes. They purr when they're happy." "What's purr?" asked the Kryn. "A sound they make. Kind of a vibrating hum. Very soothing." Cirith's translator struggled with her response. "You find predators soothing?" Marcus nodded. "But honestly, the megafauna aren't the real threat on Earth. The real killers are the small things. We have parasites that can control their host behavior, Viruses and bacteria that our immune systems constantly battle. Insects that carry diseases. Plants that can kill you if you touch them. Even some of our weather phenomena, like hurricanes, tornadoes, and tsunamis, have killed thousands in single events. The classroom had gone absolutely still. Even Professor Velthar's usually animated appendages hung motionless. So yeah, Marcus finished, I guess Earth is pretty rough. But it's home, you know. You get used to it. Get used to it? Professor Velthar finally managed. Cadet Chen, I've studied xenobiology for 40 cycles. And I must say, the fact that humans not only survived Earth but thrived enough to reach the stars is perhaps the most remarkable achievement I've encountered. Marcus felt that flush creeping back into his face. We just did what we had to do, sir. Evolution doesn't really give you a choice. On the contrary, the professor said, his tone thoughtful. Evolution offers many choices: flight, camouflage, hibernation. Your species chose to adapt, to learn, to overcome. Every challenge your planet presented, humans met with ingenuity rather than biological specialization. That's why you're here, Cadet Chen. That's why we're all here. To learn from each other. He turned back to the holographic display. Class, I believe we've just had a more valuable lesson than any I could have prepared. Humanity's homeworld proves that adversity, while terrible, can forge remarkable resilience. Remember this when you face challenges in your training. As the class resumed, Marcus noticed his classmates looking at him differently. Not with fear exactly, but with a newfound respect. Harsrith even slithered over after class, her scales returning to their normal iridescent blue. Marcus, she said carefully, would you perhaps share more stories about Earth? I'm beginning to understand why humans are so valuable to the Galactic Defense Force. A species that considers such a world home must be formidable indeed. Marcus smiled. Sure, did I mention we have spiders? Some as big as dinner plates. Srith's scales immediately paled again, but she didn't retreat. Like Marcus, like all humans, she faced her fears head-on. Perhaps, Marcus thought, that was the real lesson Earth taught. That courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. And in a galaxy full of wonders and terrors, that might be humanity's greatest gift to the stars.